Greetings, guys. I haven't been around for a while. At least it feels to me like I haven't been around for a while. I wanted to jump on and give you some updates. So, things I want to cover is the Lion Gates portal, my broken finger. What else? Oh, where the collective is at right now as we've moved as a planet into a new system. And so I wanted to give an update around that. Lessons that we're learning, it's kind of like do or die time at this point. It's like people are missing the ship. We've had a lot of lessons coming through, and it's now time to either you're too dense or you're not. And so we've seen a lot of that playing out over the past couple of weeks. So I wanted to give examples and talk a little bit about that as well as things that you can do to just move through, keep pushing, keep moving. So without delay, I'm going to hop into all of the great updates, things that have been happening. So I guess I should start maybe with my broken finger because you'll see me doing my stuff. I want to do a bit of a transmission at the end. Just going to adjust my screen here. I want to give a little bit of a transmission at the end. So this finger situation, this was part and parcel of one of my lessons. And so what that lesson was whether or not I would sacrifice and be a mom, or if I'm too committed to my 5D and not able to balance. So what happened was I was out. My husband decided, hey, you know what? Let's get a boat. Let's get everybody out and like doing some fun family time stuff. Totally on board with that. So we get this boat. We're like second time out on the water. He has spent all week fixing up, tuning up this boat. It's a used boat, so he wanted to make sure everything's in top condition. So he fixes it every day. My 4-year-old, my 7-year-old, my 2-year-old are out there, when are we going to go on the water, Dad? When are we going to be able to go? It's been about a week that was all playing out. And I'm watching it and I'm doing my sessions and I'm like, monitoring what's going on. There is a part, it decides, it was delayed an extra day. So the kids have got pushed back an extra day with like what we were telling them. Yes, you can go today, but then it's pushed back an extra day. So they were super disappointed. Anyways, it was the last day of his vacation, the last possible day that we could go and test out this boat and all the updates that he'd done to it. The last day that we had promised the kids that, yes, you can go boating. So I wake up in the morning and things just feel a little like off, like something's not quite right. So I do a check-in and they're like, you can't go boating today. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, we waited so long to go. Yes, today is our day. And they were like, you can't go boating today. Like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm at this point, I'm going to, be a sovereign being and step out of divine alignment for just one day. Just one day, just one moment in that one day. I can choose to veto the information coming in. I cannot tell my kids and my husband that we can't go after waiting a whole week and disappointing them yesterday because the part wasn't in. So I decided, yep, we're going to go. I pushed back a couple sessions. We were looking for some pieces because my SUV wouldn't hook. Like we needed a piece for the hitch. That's the word. So we found it, and my husband said to me, I don't know if we're supposed to be going today. There's been a lot of like hiccups and, I can't find this, or this is in a different place than I thought it would be, or, delays and, we're getting out there pretty late. So he wasn't quite sure. And I'd already been told no. But we were like, whatever, we're just going to go. We're going to have a good family time. It's the last day of vacation. We're going to go for it. So we get out on the water. My husband had specifically watched the weather to make sure that it would be calm and there's no waves. He's pretty anal about making sure that the water is calm and that the weather is going to be okay. So we get out there, it's beautiful weather, sunny, there's no waves in sight, everything's great. And we're driving, like we're um, just gassing it, I guess, across. This is a bay, so nothing on the water really. It's just maybe some ripples. So we're gassing it across, and all of a sudden, the boat, instead of being like this in the water, it like shimmies like this quite quickly. So it's going and then just, and I was like, whoa. And then my husband overcorrected and it went back this way. And it was like quick, was like, and it almost dumped us all out. Um, my 4-year-old was beside me and he got pushed up like high on me and then pushed back the other way. So he was kind of tucked under me when we straightened out and stopped driving. Um, so he was fine. He had bumped his eye against the side of the boat. My 2-year-old was in my husband's lap. He was fine. And my 7-year-old was in the captain chair beside my husband, and he also had bumped his head on the side of the boat. Me, I had one hand out of the boat into the water, and the other hand stuck in the boat, literally, and broke my finger. So I knew right away that it was broken. I felt the pressure, and then there was no pressure on there anymore. And I was like, no, that's not right. Something's not right. So we get back, we went immediately back. And from what I can conclude, that perhaps we were driving a little fast because the boat, instead of feeling like it was sunken into the water, it felt like it was floating and tippy on top of the water. Also, we don't weigh very much, so it felt probably to the boat like we were an empty boat because, you know, we maybe weighed 200 pounds tops in the boat, so that's not a whole lot of weight. So yeah, I just had a specialist appointment. They let me know that the break is just a nice clean break at the joint and I don't need a pin. So that was exciting news for me. A no pin is a win. No surgery for sure. So after I get home, I checked in and I was like, wait, guys, like I'm divinely protected. What happened? And they're like, heck yeah, you're divinely protected. Notice how nobody fell out of the boat. Notice how we showed you how you need a safety plan for if, like an emergency plan, because had you all fallen out of the boat, what's the plan for that? You have 3 kids floating in life jackets in the middle of the bay. And you're going to notify people how, like set off a flare in the middle of the day? Like what's your plan? We're shining a light that you're not as prepared as maybe what you think you might be. I was like, oh, okay, check. Gotcha. There was also a component in that that yes, I stepped out of divine alignment and I knew that I should not have been going. But again, they were like, you can, absolutely, you can step out of divine alignment like that if you'd like to, but just ask for the extra protection, the extra shielding, the extra like notify us. Hey, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to be like doing something else. They're like, yes, you're protected. You don't have to worry. And I was like, well, why did I break my finger? Like you could have like done something else. Like I learn quick. Like you don't have to, harm me. And they're like, you're here for a human experience. Part of your human experience is to be a mom. Part of being a mom is knowing when to follow your mission and when to like pause and go do something else. You're a human first. And I was like, okay. So they're like, no, there's no penalty, so to speak. We want you to be a mom. We want you to do what's best for your children. And that's like a pass, so to speak. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm always going to prioritize the needs of my kids. And so they're like, okay, good. We weren't sure because you love 5D. So we weren't sure, but like this is what you needed to know. And what I guess they needed to know. They just running these checks, right? And so when I was like, why the broken finger though? And they're like, you're human. Have a human experience. And I was like, haha, you're funny. You are funny. Huh. They're like, well, you don't need surgery. It's basically, uh, it hurt for the first day, the first overnight. And then after that, I woke up actually the next morning and I had another colleague working. I woke up to her working beside my bed and I was like, wait, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm working on your finger. Don't move. And I was like, okay. She's like, just lay still and like, I'm almost done. And I'm like, okay. And from that point on, it just got less and less and less pain. So that was beautiful. I had sent her a quick message saying, hey, a version of you is here working on me today. And she did let me know that she had some transmuting energy coming from her hand and she had felt pain coming from her hand and had kind of wondered like, what's the deal? So she's like, yeah, that checks out. Perfect. So 5 weeks and it should be all good to take this little splint off. So yeah, it doesn't hurt. It just, I'm business as normal. It just is splinted. So that's a finger update. I want to move on to lessons because like I just said, that was a pretty big lesson for me. And they're not just lessons, they're actually at this point, they're tests. You already have the knowledge, you know what to do. You've been through the training, if there's training. And now it's time. Like, what is the plan here? So a lot of us, as we've moved into the 4D, as our planet has kind of shifted, we're now in a place where we're embodying and holding and anchoring in more, more frequency, more energy, more divineness, if there's sort of a thing. And so that has to happen. That has to happen not just with us, but the people around us. So we're finding that people that we were really aligned with, they didn't make the cut. That test phase that I just spoke about has kind of come. And if they passed, awesome. If they did not pass, that's awesome too. They're just on a plan that's maybe not the main plan. It was the main plan. And with this big shift, they have shifted into another version of a main plan for them. And so off they've gone. So you might find that you had started projects, you might have started work, like aspects or components of a project at work, and that stuff no longer aligns. Maybe that project might align, but the individuals involved in that project might not actually be aligned with you anymore because they would have had lessons and they would have had a test and they've been shifted into a new plan for them to learn, bring about like clearing their density and yeah, it's the time has come where that's it. The gate kind of lowered and you're either on this side and you have a new main plan, or you're on this side and you've like been able to hold in, anchor in some of those pieces of embodiment light that you needed. So on the flip side, that's really cool that has happened. I have noticed that where it's like some people just don't exist anymore. Like some of my family members, they just, they've been exiting sort of for a while. I've had new ones come in. Like I was driving one day and I was like, I'm in need of a new grandma. Like, man, my mom is living her best life. She's like in Mexico half the year. Like she's loving it. And grandma is really not in her like to-do list as her role. As a human, she sort of just doesn't want to take that piece on. So at first I was really bitter about it. I'm like, how can you not want to be a grandma? Like, how can you not want to spend time with your grandchildren or know how we're doing, like all of those aspects. So at first I was kind of bitter, but growing through the years, I was sort of like, it's not like, who am I to say what she has to do or like, she's a free sovereign being. If she's not chosen that as her path, like, why am I holding her to it? I'm just making it just impacts me and then it impacts my dynamic with my kids. So I was driving one day and I was like, we're in need of a grandma, like one that I can call and send pictures to. And like, she's genuinely excited to get these things and she wants to like have like dinner or she wants to have lunch or she like just a wholesome grandma. So we were at Walmart one day and this lady turned to me actually to my kids, and she was asking, like engaging with them and having conversation with them. And it was the most natural and positive interaction that I had seen with them with an elder in a long time. It just felt so warm and so good. And I turned to her and I asked her, like, you know what do you think about getting lunch sometime? And she just kind of looked at me like, me? Like, did you just call the lottery number and I won it? She was just so beautiful. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So she gave me her number and we had a phone call, and I learned that she had three boys and she raised those three boys with her husband. Her husband was a teacher and she was a stay-at-home mom, and her boys are big now, and she has one grandchild from all of them, and she like dearly misses her boys and her family interactions and just wants more of it. Can't get enough. And so it was a beautiful match for us. And so we meet her every week and we go for lunch, we'll bring the kids, we play in the park, we do all these kinds of things. But my reason I'm telling you this is there's people in our lives that are on a plan. They're on a path. Like it gets to be their path. They get to like go do them. And we don't holding them to that. It just is friction. So like whoever their special title is, whether it's mom, brother, sister, aunt, cousin, whatever, let them go do their thing. And you just roll with it. You just, it unhooks so easily when you're like, okay, this is about me. What do I need? I need happiness and joy. Okay, how do I get happiness and joy? Well, I feel like I'm missing like companionship from an elder, like from my mom. Okay, so if your mom can't fulfill that, who can? Like, where can you get that? Um, and yeah, when I was driving, it had kind of dawned on me like it doesn't really matter um, who it comes from. It's the heartfeltness that I needed. And I needed to watch that interaction with my kids. And so, yeah, she fulfills that. And so there will be people that come into your life when you invite them. When you're like, okay, I am done putting my energy into repairing, restoring. This has nothing to do with me. This is you wanting to live your life. Okay, go do it. And I'm going to go do mine over here. And when you kind of just consciously make that shift, it manifests quickly. This new individual that came forward really quickly. I think it was a matter of like a day later after me driving that this lady in Walmart like happens upon us. And when I went actually for lunch with her, she told me, you know what, I wasn't supposed to be in Walmart that day. And I was like, of course you weren't. Like I already knew that this had been like divinely brought together. She's like, I was there for my prescription because I had called them in, sent my husband to go get them. Walmart forgot to give one to me, and I had to go back in myself to go get it. She's like, I don't go to Walmart typically. I call them in, get them delivered, or get my husband to send them to me. So she's like, they told me to just stand and wait here. So she's like, that's what I was doing. I was just standing and waiting there because they said they could get my prescription if I just waited. So there I was waiting. So yeah, it's interesting how quickly new individuals will fulfill this space when you identify like, I have a space and I'm calling in a new experience. And I think that also relieves some of the stress or pressure or weight that we feel because we know that we can do that. We're not at the mercy of anything. Sorry. Somebody viewing likely has a throat chakra thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear. Zoya kiki tokoya kaya kelkoya paya tiki kip koya kaya haya hakte. Point. Zayanaya kaya ke pupoya te anayakai. Soyanaya kaya te kikoya kite. Boyate. All right, so that will clear that up. So one of the other things that I have noticed is that my light language will switch between English and light language. So there was a day, a couple of weeks back now, that I I woke up. And when I woke up in the morning, I just noticed I went to speak and my English wasn't there. It was light language that was there. It was very strange for me. So uh, it was just very bizarre. I'm used to speaking English and I'm used to speaking light language, but I'm not used to them reversed, where light language is my main language. So I remember going to the bathroom to just like take a minute and be like, what is going on, guys? Like, what is happening? And I'm like, oh, just running a test. I'm like, okay, but I still need to function here and I need my like English to be first. And they're like, okay, it's fine. But what they were explaining to me was that I'm going to start channeling. And what it's going to happen is not going to be the conventional, typical channeling that we typically see. It's going to be direct from that source creator, prime creator energy. And she's going to speak to me through my light language. So it's going to be a direct flow of light language. And then I'm going to switch and translate it to English. Whereas typically what we see is somebody might say, I'm going to channel Ra or I might channel Thoth. And they will kind of just go deep into, not hypnosis, but deep into meditation. And they will hear what to say in English. So they might hear, or they might even embody Thoth or Ra for a second. That collective energy might come out their mouth as English, as a translated, as a message, as a channeled message. That's what it is. So this is different. It's going to come directly out as light language. And then I'm going to tell you what they said in English. So they were giving that a trial run. It was quite interesting because I thought maybe maybe I was stuck with light language here on Earth as my main language. And I too, my kids are familiar with both. There's times where I have to like stop it because I feel light language is about to come. So an example of that was yesterday. We were out at my in-laws' house. My kids didn't want to sit down. They were kids. They didn't want to sit. They didn't want to eat. They were like, I want to drink. And can you get me a fork? And can you get me ketchup? And like, can you just shush and eat? That's what I wanted to say. So it came out as like, yeah, tukanayaka, mate. Can you just sit and eat? That's the light language was what was right there. So I turned to my kid and I was about to say, yeah, tukanayaka. And it always speaks directly to their soul and they always stop and they always just know, oh shit. So, but when I turned and was about to say it, I could see my mother-in-law, and I don't speak light language fluently, openly in my in-laws' house. Like I kind of just do it in my privacy of my home or like public when nobody knows me and they think I'm maybe just speaking Arabic or something. Yeah, so there's times where I'm sort of like, oh wow, wrong language. And my kids kind of expect it. They know when they're kind of pushing the boundary or like testing or like maybe doing something they shouldn't. They know that it's going to be light language that comes out. So yeah, it's always an interesting experience. So my guess is more and more of you, and it's also what I'm seeing in sessions as well, is more and more people's gifts are coming online. Like it is, some of the sessions I've done lately have been phenomenal. Like it just takes your breath away. Like there was an individual who came in for a session, didn't know, she was just sort of like, explore with me, just do whatever you do. And so we went in and in my ear, I could hear the being speaking to me saying, it was actually her guide telling me to pass on the message to her to use her light language. And so I don't know anything about this lady. I've never met her. And so I had to ask her, like, how do you feel about light language? And she was delightful. And she was like, well, if that's what you're hearing, like, if you're hearing something about light language, like, I know it's there, I know it exists. And like, I don't feel any two ways about it. I was like, oh, well, they're telling me you need to start using your light language. And she's like, I've never used light language. I don't know how to do that. And so I'm like, yeah, they tell me you do. So start humming. And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And by the end of her session, just 90 minutes later, she was pulling up her client in her third eye, doing a deep scan, using her light language to remove pieces of like cellular like mutation, I guess it would be, pulling out gunk out of like her client, repairing, putting like energetic patches over them, all in light language. And I like, it was just phenomenal to see her come in and leave as a psychic surgeon, with her language intact, with her energy. She was already doing energy Reiki work. So she had some like understanding. She could also see in her third eye. So it was phenomenal, though, for her to add these pieces to her practice. Um, so we've been seeing a lot of activations, a lot of like people finding their higher selves. There was a lady that came in that we were sitting there, and all of a sudden a raven came in and landed on her hand. And I was like, that's your raven. You're going to look through the eyes of the raven. You're going to give messages to the raven, and you're going to, that raven is you. This is an extension of you. And she was like, whoa, trippy. I too am still learning and embodying and pulling in higher aspects of myself. I don't think that ever really changes. I'm learning about who I am, what I can do, where I'm going, who I'm working with. My work really has, it changed, but not massively. So it changed in the sense that I work with CEOs and business owners to help them align and stay in divine flow. So when they're hiring people, when they're taking on new projects, when they are like got a big meeting coming up, what I will work with them to teach and help and support them in their growth so that their business flourishes and stays in alignment. So that's beautiful as well. I've enjoyed doing that. Like it's so beautiful. I'm also, so Lionsgate and the, oh, what is that called? Oh, the All Shift Happily Now meditations. So those also have shifted. You probably noticed that those meditations have not been on our on like the regular dates that we had anticipated. So we usually do them at the beginning of the month. So say the month is 7, your day of meditation is 7. So it'd be 7/7/23 or 6/6/23 or 5/5/23, right? So we'll be going into 8/8/23. Now that one will happen as a Lionsgate portal light language. So it'll be myself, Altia, and Mina coming together to just pour energy. Like I can already feel it. So yeah, it's so exciting. You can feel that energy that's there already, just mentioning that that's going to happen. So that felt really good and in divine alignment for me. The big All Shift Happily Now meditation did not feel aligned to me anymore. I don't know really why or any necessarily if going over the particulars would be helpful, but like smaller group with pulling out the light language component definitely feels aligned. So that's what we're going to focus on. What the others are doing, I haven't really stayed in contact with what the others are doing because it doesn't have anything to do with me. So I didn't really like nosy on and ask. So what else? Trying to think. I want to do a clearing. I just feel called see, it will switch. Called to do a clearing. So I'm just gonna do a scan for the collective and help ease through some of those lessons that we're working through. Lessons on discernment. Discernment is so big right now. There's been a shift for Archangel Michael. because we are multidimensional beings, we still have lessons. It doesn't matter if you're an archangel or if you're blah, 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 whoever you are still going through your lessons. So Archangel Michael has gone through some significant lessons regarding, and people, we're seeing that in the collective with other intuitives, mentioning like, hey, I'm near the ley line that's associated with Michael, and there's a lot of like coming to the surface. And we're like, yep, I imagine there is. Or we'll get messages around, it feels really dense right now. It feels really like there's a lot of stuff moving through, and you're like, absolutely there is. So I feel like we're all kind of feeling some of that. There was a lot of false light, a lot of like false overlays, a lot of like holes that were being found in like auric fields. So that was maybe 3 days ago. So we're coming out the other side of that now. And so I want to just, when I went to sleep 2 nights ago, I actually saw Gaia activated in a massive protective bubble of energy, very, very bright, thick, just a big shell of energy. So it looked really beautiful. And that energy was going like right up to Prime Creator. So yeah, I think probably what's best is to just do a bit of a clearing and help pull through those lessons so that it feels and transitions really smoothly for people. If people need to exit your life, awesome. Just make space for the void that they left and manifest in a new person. Be your own plan A. If they need to vacate and go do their own plan A, you just yeah, blah blah blah. So let them do that. So okay, I'm just gonna do your clearings. Okay, kaya konoya kite. Saya toya kamanaya kai, saya teya komoit. I'm just pulling up the collective here. Shoya paya kaya te komoya kite. Paya teya komoya kite. I'm gonna get a huge amount. Shumaya kai teya kite. Koya keteya kaya noya kite. So when the collective shows up for me, they are a blue. It just looks like a blue collective, a blue mass of energy. And the more blue and the more depth and width of the blue mass, the more it signals to me that the collective is available in here. So I'm just continuing to light language them a little bit. Moyakai and Ayakai te kite koyakai, te moyakai, tiete, koyatai, nayakai, tieko komite. Just surrounding them in a container. Shagaya kaya kikio moyatai. Ayate kietoko moyakai te anai, hieto koyate, shokai, kikite, kukuko, calling in the backstanders, watchers over here. Dikadaya kaya kitoko moyakai. Come on, tikoya, kaya tonight. Night, two tickadai night. All right, you quiet. So I'm just going to channel in direct from Prime Creator the information that is required for the collective so that they can move through their lessons and embody their highest path here for the timeline that is required. Ai, shitoya koya maya kaya naya kai hietoit. Koya moya tai, shikaya koya kaya naya kai. Koya te anaya te, hyo koya tai anaya kai. Te cool. So don't worry what people are thinking. What you think is what matters most. You have a path that you need to take, and it is one of the highest good for all. Soya te anaya kai te koya naya kai. Moyate, hiate kai kai moyate. Here, ho hioto yo kokoya nayakite. You know ya poya kaya te kikito moya kaya te. You will feel this in your heart. you'll know it to be true and to be right because your heart space will give you the signals and energy that's required for you to move on. Haya te koea tamaya taya kaya te. Haya moya kaya te kiki tuko moya kaya taya naya kite. Haya te haya ha hai Hi, you are so loved. Ah, the people around you and the energy from above, this pure love that comes through standing in your power and standing in your faith. To trust in yourself as you grow through these times. Tekiate moya kaya hehiet moya shekiat haya kiet kumanaya koyate. It's just talking about you are enough. Deya koyate haya komoy. Hayate koyate. Koyate. So collective looks nice and bright, beautiful. So the message in doing that work just then and that channeling was all about like you believing in yourself. Don't hang on to a buddy or don't hang on to a boyfriend, girlfriend, or don't hang on to a parent or a best friend. Like you are your own being and you're not completed by being with another individual. You are complete. You are enough. You will feel it in your heart space when it's time to disconnect from this person because either they have placed you in that role or you have placed them in that role. So separating from some of these toxic relationships, or it might be a workplace, it might be a parent-child relationship. It doesn't have to be a significant other relationship, but you are enough. And it's time to step into that space without being rude or hurtful or harmful, doing it from a place of heartfelt centeredness, so that you can lovingly say, this doesn't serve us any longer. Like what comes to mind is best friends in high school when one says, I'm going to go get my lunch. You want to come? I'm going to go to the bathroom. Want to come? I'm going to go outside. Want to come? And you actually don't want to go do that stuff, but you know they need your support or they know they need your support. But there's this knowingness between the two of you, and that stuff is done. You don't have to go or do or be anything other than what you want. So that was kind of the message in what was coming through when I was doing the channel there. Because yeah, it's just time. It is time where these individuals are holding us back, and we need to disconnect. We need to move away. We are holding ourselves back if we stay because it's no longer aligned. They have their new stuff that they need to do, and we need to release that. So I feel like there's a little bit more chakra clearing to do to allow some of that energy to come through. So I'm just going to take the collective and stand them sideways and then just clear through the chakras for everybody. Mananaya kai tokoya ya ya umamaya kai shumaya kai shumoyat. Koya kai anaya kai. Doyanai hohoya kai noya momoya tai noi ki moi ai noi te nai 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 nai. Voya tai kia komoya. Zoet yoko moi kai kiete kiete ko koe tai nai kai ko hoi kai te kioto moi kai te hoi mananai kieto ko koe nai kai te noi kai shia nai to moi toya te kai koe te kai kono noia kai kiana nai kai kodo do 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 ya nai moi shh kai kai yete koe wait, wait, wait. Yeah. So the yawning always signifies to me that it's completed or it's nearing completion. It looks beautiful. Everybody's got their like rays shining out. I can feel all that energy shining. Looks really good. Um, and then I'm just going to it's muscle test to see what else I can do here for us. I feel like that's it. That's a solid yes for that's it. So it's just being mindful around your engagement with others and whether this aligns for you, if it's in your highest good, or if this is actually an old pattern either for this individual or for yourself. And to move through and away from some of those old patterns to make space to allow that new stuff to come in. Um, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's next, what's in store. You can also book with me. I am still doing sessions. I love seeing you guys in session. We've been doing like virtual tours of Egypt. I'm finding things that you guys have left for yourself back in the Egyptian temples. Um, we have located Ra's temple, so we've been going into that and accessing different universes. That's been beautiful to see. We've also discovered individuals that say, I can't see anything, that are connected to that new universe that we were exploring. Um, and to that archangel. So he's coming on board more and more to be able to support. Um, we are also doing like a bit of everything. So I do like past life regressions, I do akashic records, I do a lot of healing, a lot of like pulling stuff out of people. I do implant removals, like whether people are having dreams and traveling or memories about things, I will like help bring like rewind and go in and look and see what's going on. I am a trauma therapist, so I also am working with individuals on their trauma, that is actually either a past life thing that has occurred or a deep soul wound that has occurred. I don't necessarily do the trauma therapy with them because that's they usually have their own therapist, but I work on the behind of what's keeping it anchored, and that we do for the 5D practice. Um, uh, I also do connecting you with your guides, activating light language, DNA rebuild. I just had a really cool DNA rebuild for a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old that were coming up on the spectrum and having some really, really extreme behaviors. And so their mom was able to let me know, like, Natalie, I don't know what you did. Basically, their DNA looked like somebody had used a paintbrush and just splatter painted, and it was all like deleted wherever the paint hit. So I had to go in and like just reshape it and recreate it, and then duplicate that through their bodies. Um, yeah, it's been an amazing time just doing the journeys, and we've moved away from a lot of the Atlantis Lemuria stuff. I feel like a lot of reparative work happened maybe 2 months ago, on that, and I don't see that timeline coming up as much now. I see more of the going in and doing resolutions and making different choices in the Egyptian timeline, and I see the Egyptian timeline opening to it's not even that it's opening. It's more like people have left things for themselves there, and they're going back in to retrieve those things so that they can go somewhere else. They're not actually staying in that timeline. That timeline feels closed to me, and it actually feels like um, a lot of the repair work has been done already in terms of like the different gods being like pissy with each other and throwing little hissy fits. So I don't see individuals coming in anymore typically. They're not coming in saying like they have a problem with this or a pain for that or like a deep anger for something, and then it's resolved by pulling up a god and like having that explanation play out. Like that stuff is all old timeline is completed, that part's done. Now it is more around individuals retrieving things. It's safe to go back there, it's safe to retrieve stuff, so that's what they're doing. Now that that's closed, they're going in and being like, oh, I found my ruby or my sapphire or my staff or my pet raven or whatever it is. Like it never shocks me what they find there. And in the strangest of places. So, I mean, that's been happening, and activating their gifts. So yeah, I mean, I never know what we get into. Um, I would love to say like part is my favorite, but all of it is my favorite. I guess maybe the activations because it feels like so concrete that a person like comes on board and can go and help so many other people with their newfound gifts activated. Yeah, we're still making sense out of everything. Every day we're like, wow, I knew nothing. Every day we wake up and we go through the day and we go to bed at night like, wow, we made so many discoveries on how it all works and why things are the way it is. It's a giant puzzle and we're all putting the pieces together still, like, and we probably never will stop. It's just beautiful. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of this and how I can be more helpful to you. And if you want to do session, you can find me at natalienadine.com. Um, yeah, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. All right, bye for now.